Hey y'all, and welcome to The Cutest Little Thing. My name is Andrea, and I'm so glad to have you here today. I'm from southeastern North Carolina, and I love all things vintage, thrifted, upcycled, and DIY'd, and you will find all of those things here on my channel. I also have 2 vendor booths in my local small town where I sell my crafts and decor pieces. I'm so excited for today's project, so let's go ahead and get started. Do you have old, worn-out pans in your kitchen cabinets, or do you come across them at your Goodwill for a couple of dollars? Well, don't look them over anymore because you can take these, yes, a worn-out pan, a worn-out frying pan, and you can create the cutest home decor for your kitchen or really anywhere in your home. But you want to take it, you want to scuff it up. This is a 80 grit piece of sandpaper, and I'm just taking and scuffing up this pan all over the inside, all around the outside. You don't have to worry about the handle though, but you want to get any buildup grease residue. And a lot of times these pans will come with the non-stick film over them, so you want to be sure and just scuff that up because we are going to be painting these, and that way that paint will adhere better to our piece. And I do like to go in with chalk paint for this project as well, and I'm using Caviar, the color Caviar, in the Dixie Belle chalk paint, and we are going in with our first coat all the way around the pan and on the inside as well. And once again, you don't have to worry about that handle since it's already black. I'm not going to worry about painting it, but sometimes I do come across pans that have a different color handle, and I do paint it depending on what color I need it for the project that we're, the theme that we're going for at the time. Let that dry completely, and I do go in with a second coat. I also paint the very bottom of the pan where it'll have burn marks and all of that on it as well. I just think it gives it more of a completed look. While that second coat of paint is still wet, grab your ground cinnamon. You can use any brand. I would recommend using a cheaper brand. And you want to go in and just lightly sprinkle your cinnamon all in your wet paint. I'm doing it on the back of the pan, and I'll flip it over and sprinkle the inside edge of the pan as well. You don't want to sprinkle it in the very center of the pan. If you get a little bit here and there, it won't hurt it. But we are going to be decoupaging a paper in the middle of the pan, and I will also say if you are decoupaging a piece of thin paper like tissue paper or a napkin or something like that, you want that background to be a light color. So if you're doing that, you want to paint where your paper or your napkin will be light, but we're using paper here. These are some cute images that I purchased from an Etsy shop, and I will link those in the description of the video if you're watching on YouTube. And these are really cute. They're a cute set, and actually they come with 4 designs. You get 4 of them. I think it also comes with a bumblebee and maybe a sheep, but today we're using the cow and the rooster. And I'm dipping my paintbrush in my water to go right around this image where I need to tear it. I don't want that straight cut edge. I want that torn, feathered look. And just by taking your wet paintbrush, or you can use a water pen if you have that on hand, and just tear your paper right where you need it to, how you need it to fit on your piece. After you get it torn out, just grab your Mod Podge, and I usually like to brush the Mod Podge on the back of the paper. But again, if you're using a thinner paper, or a lot of times it's preference, you can brush the Mod Podge directly onto the surface if you would rather do that. And you want a good even layer of your Mod Podge, and be generous with it, getting it all the way to the edges of your paper. You don't want any space on your paper without Mod Podge on it, because that will give you air bubbles and your paper will just not want to adhere all the way down to your piece. And just rub that very gently with your fingers. You can also take a balled up piece of saran wrap, rubbing those creases and wrinkles out. And I like to take my heat tool while I'm smoothing out those wrinkles and apply heat, and that helps kind of melt that Mod Podge and helps everything spread underneath the paper. And I couldn't find my saran wrap, so I just grabbed a little plastic wrapper in my craft room, and it did the trick just as well. And I did the same thing, decoupaging the cow print onto the other pan. We're doing 2 pans. I had 2 pans about the same size in my stash, so I thought they would be cute to do kind of similar as a set. So I got the other paper Mod Podge down, and now I'm going in with that heat tool once again to also heat set that ink in those papers so they won't smear, and that kind of sets them and seals them. Now we are taking, in that squeeze bottle, I just had some Elmer's glue and some water mixed together. And I just poured that in a plate. And I have our instant coffee grounds. I just get the Walmart brand, the Great Value, sprinkled some in that glue mixture. And you just mix that in really well. Those instant coffee crystals will kind of begin melting in that glue. And you can see how it tints and gives it that grungy effect. And I just go in with my paintbrush and I'm brushing all on the sides of that pan, the inside edges, all around that label. I don't go over my label with that mixture, but I do kind of dab all around the edges of that label. And I do, after I get it brushed on, I'll kind of go in with a stippling technique, and that takes away those brush strokes, and you won't have those bristle marks in that mixture. And while that's still wet, you want to sprinkle your cinnamon in that, and you can sprinkle as much or as little cinnamon as you would like. It's just depending on your preference and the look that you are trying to achieve. This is giving it that faux rust look and just the rusty crusty goodness. So you can sprinkle in more or less. I kind of did a medium amount on this piece. And I did half. You saw I did half my pan just so that glue mixture wouldn't try to start drying before I got my cinnamon on. And then I did the other half and sprinkled the cinnamon in that side as well. I hope that you are enjoying today's content. If you are and you're not already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider before you leave today, hit that notification bell. Be sure you are receiving all notifications. I would love for you to become part of our YouTube family. Okay, let's get back to the DIYs. After I got all the cinnamon on there, I grabbed my sponge brush. I dipped it back into that same glue mixture and dabbed it over that cinnamon. And I'm sorry, I'm not all the way in camera here, but that's all I'm doing, just dabbing into the glue mixture and dabbing over the pan everywhere I've sprinkled that cinnamon. And you just want to kind of wet that cinnamon. And I do the back the same way. Brush on the glue mixture with the coffee grounds mixed in. And then sprinkle in your cinnamon. And then dab back over that with your glue mixture. And then you want to go in with your heat tool. If you don't have a heat gun, you can just use your blow dryer. And you want to apply that heat over it because it just kind of melts the cinnamon into the Mod Podge and the coffee grounds and just gives it a magic effect, giving it that rust look and the rusty crusty goodness. And you can also repeat these steps if you're not really getting the look that you want and you want more of that effect. You can go over again with another layer of your glue, cinnamon, and then your last layer of glue. You can do that as many times as you would like to get the look that you are going for. I sat those pans to the side to kind of begin curing, and of course we have to embellish these with a beautiful bow using our Jubilee homespun fabric. So I grabbed my bow maker, put down my piece of jute string, and just began layering in. I love to get the Jubilee homespun fabric. You can order directly from their website. You can also find their products on Walmart.com as well as Amazon. And I just picked several colors of the fabric that went with the labels that we used in our pans, just creams and blacks, browns, and also that orange color, almost like a rust color in some of that fabric. And you just want to layer in, making your loops as much fabric as you would like, all depending on the size of your bow. Once you're happy with the thickness of it, just pull up on those jute strings, give it a good tie. I like to do a double knot just to give it that extra hold. After a good shake, just put you a dollop of hot glue on the back of that bow, and I pressed it right at the base of the handle, and then you can just kind of fluff those loops and get that bow adjusted how you like. You can also trim it if you need to trim it up or anything. And I embellished with a rusty star. I get those mini rusty stars off of Amazon. And I thought a tag would be really cute on these. I get these cardboard tags off of Amazon as well. And I like to kind of bend them to make them look worn, where they're not just straight and new looking. And I have this cute stamp from Temu. I've had it a while. It came with some other little farm animals, but I love to use these for my tags. And I just use this chicken, this rooster head, and just dabbing it in my ink here on my ink pad. And I stamped it kind of up towards the top of the tag. And then I have these little number tags, and I cannot remember where I got these from. I'm sure you could find something similar on Amazon though. And the image says since 1851. So I thought it would be cute to stamp 1851 under the chicken head. So I just stepped the 1 and the 8, 5, 1. It came out a little wonky and crooked, but I liked it, and I thought it gave it even more of a vintage look. I also took that ink pad, and I just like to go around with it and highlight over the edges of my tags. And I just think that gives it a nice little touch as well. Then I took my Sweet Pickins beeswax in the dark, and I just wanted to darken this tag. You want to make sure your ink is dry. So even if you go in with your heat tool or your blow dryer, make sure that ink's dry before you start rubbing on your wax, because you don't want to smear it. And I just used a little blender brush to do that. Then I just hot glued my tag in place and nestled it right in the bow, right at the base of the rusty star. And look how cute that is. You can kind of adjust it as you need to. And I embellished with the other pan with a bow as well, using similar fabrics in the Jubilee. And I embellished with a tag also. And on this tag, I had a cow head. It was from that same little stamp collection from Temu. So I stamped the cow head on there, darkened the edges of that tag with the ink pad as well. And I dirtied up that tag with the dark beeswax also. Again, making sure that ink's dry first. I nestled it right in those loops of the bow, and I just kind of hot glue it in place. And this Rusty Crusty project is done. I love how these two pans turned out. I also added a little tie in the handle. And if you notice, one of the handles of the pans were gray, and I just went in and painted that gray handle black with that same caviar chalk paint. And you can see after that rusty technique we did, had a little time to see it, it looks even more realistic. And if it has a couple of days to cure, it will look even more realistic. I just love this technique. And here is a larger pan that I did on a Facebook Live, and some of you may have joined me for that. And that beautiful cow print on that pan is from Digital Deco Designs, and I am an affiliate for that company. You can shop with my link. It will be in the description of this video. I hope you love how this turned out as much as I do, and let me know if you're going to be upcycling your old worn out pans as well. I love when I find these glass bottles like this at my local Goodwill. To me, they mimic a milk bottle, and that's normally what I make with them. I'm going in with chalk paint on this glass bottle and using the color Sawmill Gravy in the Dixie Belle. And I just put on that first coat all over, even on the bottom. Let that completely dry. Then I grab my cinnamon. I get my cinnamon from Walmart and get their brand, the Great Value. We're also going to be putting these cute labels on our milk bottle, and I have several milk bottles as well. And these labels I purchased from an Etsy shop, and they come in several, I think like 6 different ones, and I will have that in the description of the video as well. So I cut out the one that I wanted, and I'm just applying that Mod Podge all over the back of that label, getting it all over, all the way to the edges, a good even coat. I get that placed down on my bottle and smooth it out. Just be sure it's straight and you smooth it out, getting all the wrinkles and creases out. If you'll notice, we've only done 1 coat of paint. We're going in with a second coat, but I'm putting the label on first because we do a special technique on this. And I'm drying that label, just getting that Mod Podge to adhere and heat setting that ink. Now here we go with our second layer, or our second coat of paint using that same color, the Sawmill Gravy. And I just work in sections because chalk paint dries really quickly. So I paint on a section of chalk paint, and then I sprinkle in cinnamon in that wet paint. And it's your preference on how much or as little cinnamon as you sprinkle in, all depending on the look you're trying to achieve. And then I'll paint another section with the chalk paint, and then sprinkle some more cinnamon into that wet paint. Keep working in sections until you've gotten your whole bottle coated with that cinnamon. Next, I grab my little squeeze bottle with my Elmer's glue and water mixture, squirt some in the plate, and then I just take my little sponge brush there and dab on. I'll dip into my Elmer's glue mixture. You could also use Mod Podge, but I would recommend using school glue and some water because it's cheaper. And just dab in that mixture and dab on your bottle. You want to keep doing that until you've coated the whole bottle all over that dried cinnamon. And just be careful when you go around your label, patting very carefully because you don't want to smear the ink in your label. And I'll kind of take that sponge brush and dab right along the edges of that label, and then I'll sprinkle in some more cinnamon in that wet glue mixture. And that just kind of gets it extra grungy around that label. You can also focus on the bottom of your bottle and like around the top and just different areas that would be handled a lot and make it extra grubby. Once you get your whole bottle covered, go in with your heat tool or your blow dryer and apply that heat, giving it a good dry. And again, that heat with that glue and cinnamon, that's when the magic happens. And once it's good and dry, we are ready to embellish the top. I take muslin fabric. I get my muslin fabric off of Amazon, and I've just torn it into squares that will fit over the top of my bottle. And I'm taking my coffee grunge. Y'all know how much I love my coffee grunge. All that is hot water, instant coffee, cinnamon. I also love to add the pumpkin pie spice and the vanilla extract as well. Mix that all together, and I'm just brushing that onto my piece of fabric here. And I do brush on, I think I brush on the front and flip it over. Yep, I do. And I do the back side. And then you can dry that with your heat tool, or you can put it in the oven on a very low heat setting to dry that fabric, or just kind of let it dry overnight. I do outline the rim of my bottle with hot glue just to help that piece of fabric sit in place while I'm wrapping it with my piece of jute string. So I just place that piece of fabric over the top, getting it straight on there. And then I just start a piece of jute string and wrap several times around the top. And I hot glue that in place. Now we're ready to add that bow. Y'all know it was coming. So grab that bow maker. This bow maker comes from homesteadcrafterdiy.com. So make sure you head over there and grab yours. It is an awesome bow maker. You just put down your piece of jute string and begin layering up your fabrics. I love using Jubilee homespun fabric, but you can use your fabric of your choice. And I just chose different patterns and colors that went with each label of my bottle. And y'all, it was kind of unplanned, but I ended up doing 3 bottles and the labels ended up being red, white, and blue. So this ended up having a little patriotic twist along with its farmhouse theme. And I just love how it all ended up going together. Look at that red and black and cream. I just love that. And here's the other one. Well, it's more of a cream than a white. And then there's the blue one. And look how they all turned out, y'all. I just love them. I love the bow and the embellishments. I did embellish with a button in the center of the bow. And here they are staged up. If you just saw that print there with the Americana truck, that is a picture frame that I did on a Facebook Live as well. And these bottles ended up going perfectly with it, with the red, white, and blue. And again, I am an affiliate for the Digital Deco Designs. My link will be in the description of this YouTube video. And you can also find it pinned to the top of my Facebook page. Look how cute this vignette is. I just love it. Y'all let me know what you think of these. And if you'll be trying this Grubby goodness technique. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today and watching this week's video. I hope that you love these projects. And don't forget to leave me a like and a comment. And share with your friends, your family, or anyone you think would enjoy this video as well. And that will just help my channel continue to grow. And I do appreciate all of your support and kind comments on my channel. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, you can find me over on Facebook as well. And I go live over there 2 times a week, Tuesday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And every now and then I will be live on a Friday in an event with my group, Crafting with the Hot Mess Express. If you will head over to Facebook and search for that group, Crafting with the Hot Mess Express, you can request to join. Anyone can join, even business pages. We would love to have you over there. It's myself as well as Emily's Upcycled Home, Michelle's Crafty Crafts, and Cindy's Flips to Primitive Crafty Crafts. We have monthly live events as well as so much fun stuff going on over there, and we would love to have you. I also have live auction sales on my Facebook every 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere around in there. So stay tuned for those details as well. You can also shop Sweet Pickins milk paint and products. I have the paint charts pinned to the top of my page over on my Facebook, and you can just message me for those orders. And lastly, I am an affiliate for Digital Deco Designs. I am so excited to be able to be an affiliate for that company. You can find my affiliate link in the description of this video. Click it, it will take you right over to that website where you can shop. And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you all have a blessed rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now, friends.